Welcome back to another episode of What Are You Made Of with your boy Mike C-Roc. Guys, first of all, I want to thank you so much for your listenership. Express gratitude for your following the What Are You Made Of movement, supporting C-Roc movement, and just thankful to have you. And I want to remind you to subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform, and go subscribe to my YouTube channel, Mike C-Roc Ciorrocco. We have the Rocket Fuel book coming out, guys. I'm excited to get this in your hands because it tells my story and it also tells you how to convert setbacks into rocket fuel, negative people into rocket fuel, difficulties, everything that you can think of that could be negative, and turn it into fuel for your future. But more importantly, to do it proactively, which is a crazy concept. So that book is at www.mikecroc.com/book. And today, guys, I have my friend Stuart Massengill with us. Stu is actually one of Tony Robbins' trainers, national trainers, right? And he's just an average guy with above average dreams and goals. Kind of like what I say. I use ordinary guy.
Yeah.
So we connect and relate really good with this. But we were kind of wondering, when I read this story, how, compelled to help, why I was compelled to help the world become a better communicator, networking, and overall create a life of to help people create the life of their dreams. And basically, I'm going to let you get into it more, man, because I don't want to butcher this. But Stu, welcome to the What Are You Made Of podcast.
Thank you for having me, brother. I appreciate it. It's an absolute honor to be here. So thank you.
You're welcome, man. Thanks for coming and on. And the funny thing is, all fair, we were talking about your story. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll read the short story. And then it's in like you reading it to us. And I was like, nah, never mind. I'll just let you talk.
Yeah, no worries.
But look, we talk about on the show, what are you made of? And that's the first question I always ask our guests, Stu. So let's start with that. What are you made of?
Yeah, I would say to answer the question, what I'm made of is truly, if I boiled it down to two words, is passion and love is kind of what I think I'm made of. When I hear the question, what I'm made of, what I think of is like what's true in my soul and my being. And it's truly just doing everything in my capacity to just give to the world, to help people in the world. And I grew up in a place where personal development, when it came into my life at 19, it massively changed the quality of my life. And so ever since that day, I've really been on just a mission to like just give and serve and help in the greatest way that I can. And I think it all leads with passion and love.
Love it, man. I love it. I mean, I'm saying
Yeah.
love. No, it's one thing. I mean, I tell my people, I run a mortgage division with my best friends, three of my best friends. My little brother helps us, and some great employees on our team. And one of the things I try to always end our meetings with, man, I love you guys. Appreciate you guys, because, and of
For
course I
real.
have passion. But it means a lot for people to know, like, I think Zig Ziglar said it, right? Something about they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yep.
We really
Exactly.
genuinely care about people, man. And it does
Yeah.
something for me, not just for them. It does
Yeah.
something for me, and I appreciate that, man. So I wanted to get into, first of all, back in the day where you come from. You come from California, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So
Northern
give us,
California.
yeah, give us a little part of the story about your upbringing and in the skateboarding world and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I grew up in a awesome family dynamic. I have two amazing parents. They're just incredible human beings. I have an awesome older brother. And so I grew up in this small town in the Northern California area and just honestly grew up as a pretty normal kid, played sports, grew up, did all that. But kind of throughout that entire phase of growing up, I was sort of like the shy kid, I guess you could say, in a sense. Like if I was around my friends, yeah, I would have a conversation. But if like if you weren't my friend, like I wasn't gonna go start a conversation with you. I wasn't gonna try to meet new people. That was just very out of my comfort zone. And so I kind of grew up with that belief about myself. And then it wasn't until I got to college really that honestly like a massive a massive amount changed when I started to learn about personal development and really like just dive deep in that world.
And who was the first person you really got into following, mentoring by? You
That's
remember?
a great question. The first person that I was introduced to, I think the first person that really like opened my eyes up was my mom growing up. And this will lead to where I kind of did it consciously, but unconsciously, my mom kind of would always pour into me and poke at me and like, just give these like inspiring messages and help you kind of like work through some of your own roadblocks you create for yourself. And then when I was 19, I had a mentor, and it was the first time I ever had a mentor in my life. Right. Someone that came into my life that said, hey, I'm going to teach you what I've learned. I'm going to help you get what I got in a year, but do it in a month, because I can teach you what not to do. And that guy's name, his name was Jed Buenaluz. He's still one of my best friends now to this day. And he really opened up my mind that, like, just to a whole new world.
And how did you meet him?
I met him. So I got introduced to a network marketing company.
Yeah, because the reason I asked that, by the way, let me clarify the question. A lot of people think, okay, mentor. How do I get a mentor? Like, what? How do you find a mentor? Do you just get lucky and run into them, or do you find them? Do you seek them out? That's why I asked the question. And if you can elaborate.
Yes, yeah. So I was introduced to a network marketing company. I had a best friend and I that were trying to start a skateboard company, because I was big into that world, and we were trying to start it. One day, my best friend calls me, he goes, Stu, we're not doing that anymore. I found gold. And so he introduced me to this network marketing opportunity. And the man,
wait a minute, we've heard that before, though, right? We've heard that we found gold. And you're like, wait a minute,
yeah,
hold on, let me.
I got to give him credit, though. It was absolutely gold. He hit it on the head. But that's where I met Jed, and then I really started to just, in a easy way to put it, stalk him in a sense, because if you do what someone does, you say what they say, you're going to get what they got. So I just tried to cling to him and learn from him, and that was huge as far as helping me in my
kind of
growth.
products? What kind of products?
Health and wellness.
Okay,
gotcha. Like nutrition supplements, stuff like that.
Yep. And then going from there, you guys had some success with it, but why did you leave it?
Yeah, so I was in that space for 3.5 years, the network marketing profession. And yeah, we built a team. We had like 4,000 people. We did several million in revenue. It was going great, and I loved it. But it got to a point where, in my heart, it didn't really feel what I was called to do anymore. I'm a massive, massive believer in following your heart. And for me, it just didn't feel right. I don't entirely know how to put it past that.
Right.
But it just didn't feel like it was what I was supposed to do. And then, long story short, the company had some like inner turmoil. And for me, it was sort of like, this is my window.
Yeah.
And so I got out of that space. And then I had no idea what the hell I was going to do with my life. I exited with not a plan, and that probably wasn't the best plan, but
did you have some cash put away, or like what happened there?
No, I didn't have a lot of cash put away. We made a lot of money, but I was making that money when I was 20, 21, 22 years old, and spending it on a bunch of
I can imagine. I've been there. Yeah, stupid, man.
Like, oh, let me buy this $600 pair of shoes that I don't need.
Can you imagine, like, if we taken that money back then and just put it? Oh my gosh. But anyway,
yeah, invested it or something. Had someone be like, "Hey, dude,
I'm not a big guy on resenting the past, so I'll stop right there. But
yeah, me
so speaking of that, though, and having a purpose and then having fulfillment, and I know you being a Tony trainer and all, Tony Robbins trainer. Can you speak on money versus fulfillment and what that's meant to you in your life?
Yeah. So I would say, for me, like, there's so many sayings people say. One of the cliches one is, money doesn't make you happy, but everybody wants to find out for themselves. And so as I was going through building this business, I was honestly given a beautiful lesson at a really young age, because I got to this point where my goal was to like make six figures, right? I think eventually I got there when I was 20 years old, and my thought was like, when I got there, I was going to be like, I'm like, this is it. Like, I made it. I'm crushing it. I'm incredible. Like, I feel so good. And I got there, and it was like, this is it. Like, this does, like, nobody's sprinkling fairy dust on me that says like, feel amazing. And really, the lesson I got at that point was, so many times in our life we put, when I do this, I'm going to be happy, or when I do that, I'm going to feel proud of myself, or when I feel this, I'm going to feel XYZ. And the reality is, when you get to that place, the person that ultimately makes the decision that you're going to be happy then, or that you're going to be fulfilled then, or whatever it is you. Right. So rather than saying, let me do this thing and then be happy, right? Be happy and then do this thing. Right. And so that's a big thing I learned for me in money and fulfillment, is that ultimately money does not create fulfillment. It just makes you more of who you are. Now, as you go deep into fulfillment, Tony teaches one of these principles. He's worked with millions of people. Is there's something called the art of fulfillment. And basically what it is there's 6 human needs. And to go into just the fulfillment parts of these needs, it's growth and contribution. And so as long as you are growing yourself, and you are contributing to others, that's ultimately what creates fulfillment. So it's not money, right? If you are someone who's a giving person and you make more money and now you have more to give, then you may be more fulfilled from the success you have because you have more to give. But it's not that you're going to make money and feel more fulfilled. So that's kind of my understanding of that. And when I approach things in my life now today to like create fulfillment, I just figure, how can I grow myself? And then how can I contribute? And then when you do both of those, by default, you're becoming more value to the marketplace. So you're going to get paid.
Yep.
Right.
Man, I
So it's
love
like
that. Yep.
kind of
Love
looking
it.
at it backwards rather than let me make money to be fulfilled. Let me do the things I need to be fulfilled, get good at it, then I'll get the money.
So where were you, let's say, what year were you born?
1993.
93. Okay. So I remember getting my first Tony, like the
Cassette tape?
CDs or cassette. I can't remember which it was.
Yeah.
I was in home sales. I started in 1998 in home sales, and my mom, I was by myself at that time. I got out of college, dropped out with a 4.0. Long story short, my friends were still in college and then going on about their lives. And then I was left in that town by myself with a few bad friends. And when I mean bad friends, I mean, people wise, guys may have had good hearts, but they were into partying and they weren't going anywhere. Like,
Yeah.
so,
Definitely feel that.
so my mom sent me, she must have bought them for herself and then didn't do anything with them, I guess.
Yeah.
But then she sent them to me and I remember listening to them in the car in about 98, 99. And, but and it helped me. It helped, shape some of me, but I didn't go very far, like past that with
Yeah.
Tony. But I do remember that. And I remember talking, him talking about the story about him being on a couch or something, or I just remember, I'm not trying to remember the story necessarily what he said, but where I was at that moment.
Yeah.
Driving around. Oh gosh, that was terrible. Anyway, not the CD, but the job, man, it was tough. Anyway, so money versus fulfillment. Talk about some setbacks that you've had, and one in particular. I'll let you bring it up, but it was in the story about when you traveled
Yeah.
and you were going on to New Zealand, and then something happened.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm innately a extraordinarily positive person. I'm a person that believes everything happens for a reason and for the right reason. And so this was basically, if we go into my story, when I left that company for 3.5 years, I went into this place of what the hell's next, right? What am I supposed to do? And I was just feeling in this place where I felt really lost and didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. So the route I took was, I'm going to go travel and I'm going to find myself, the classic find yourself while you travel the world. And so I ended up in Bali by accident for 3 weeks. It was amazing. And I had a trip after that to New Zealand planned for 7 months. And I was just going to go there, and it's the action sports capital of the world. And I thought I wanted to be in that world. So I figured, why not go to the heart? And so I got there, long story short, 2 days into being there, I realized there wasn't something like right with my body. And so basically I started like going to the doctors, and long story short, after like 48 hours of going to, 48 hours, 2 days of going to different doctor visits. They like bring me into one of the rooms. They sit me down, the classic talk, like, all right, you need to get on the next plane flight home. You have some sort of like a tumor. It's either cancerous or benign, but there's a high possibility that it's testicular cancer. And so for me, again, being someone that's like super positive, I like, I think it could be easy for people to freak out in that. You're like, you're in a different country. There's this like tumor in your body that's not normal. But for me, I was just like, all right, this is just like part of my story and part of who I
That's what you
am.
thought right at that moment. Like that wasn't. Oh man, it's.
Yeah. They like sat me down. I was just like as weird as it is, I look back on this sometimes. I was like, my 7-month trip to New Zealand was canceled. And they said, get on the next plane flight home. Like I was a little bummed, but I was also just like, like, must be happening for a reason. Like this is going to be part of my story. So I got on the next plane flight, got home, went through like 6 months of surgeries and treatments and all that stuff. And yeah, I mean, depending how deep we want to go into the story, that was kind of the base of it. But again, I'm a super positive person. And I think the biggest thing I got from that, and that I always share with other people, whether they have cancer or they have people around them with cancer, is I think the biggest thing that really helped me, the silver lining through getting through that process with a sound mind and not losing myself, was I went to basically everyone around me and I was like, don't treat me like I have something that can kill me. Don't treat me like there's something in, like, don't treat me like I might die, because if you plant that seed in my brain, that seed can grow, and like, then we're going down a rabbit hole we don't want to go down.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah. Love it.
obviously, like, I went to the doctor with my parents, and you walk out of the doctor's office with your parents. Like, I could not imagine being a parent and
Right.
hearing the words,
Yeah.
your son has cancer. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
holy,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like that, but as like they were feeling that. And then I just looked at them and I was like, don't treat me any differently. Don't treat me like I have something that's going to kill me. Like, we're going to get through this. This is part of my story. And like, everything's going to be okay. And everyone around me treated me like that. And it made it so much easier, because I didn't have people all the time being like, oh my God, you have cancer. Are you okay? Is everything? It was just like, oh, good morning. Did you sleep well? Or, you know,
Right.
so
Right. I
that
love
was
that,
kind of some
man.
big things that helped me. Yeah.
Yeah. So the next question I had for you, we're talking about was going into who's in your crowd and or who's in your crew, who to keep around you. And back then, you seemed like you did make sure you were conscious of that and making sure you were around the right people.
Big time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, so then you've carried that through, obviously, because that's a. And how old were you? You were only in the mid-20s when that happened?
Yeah, I was
26,
20. I found out 2 days before my 24th birthday.
24. So back then you knew that. So then carrying forward, you saw how important it was to have a good crowd of people around you, the right
Yeah.
kind of people, right minds and all that, right?
Yeah. Like, association is, I mean, especially going through something like cancer and something like that. It's like, I was fortunate enough to have an incredible supportive family, friends, all that. It's like some people go through it and they don't have anyone. Um, I actually have a buddy that just got through some cancer himself, and this is actually his mission, is to create a group where you can really have support for people, because it's so much a different process going through cancer, having people that got your back and can support you than, I mean, going through it on your own. It's like you got to find people to get around to go through that process with.
Yep. And then when you got involved with Tony and that organization and became a trainer and then started your own business, coaching business and what have you, you start to be around those different types of people, especially
Yeah.
somebody like Tony and the people around him. Then all of a sudden your floor starts to go up. Your standards start to go up. You can't be doing some of the same stupid stuff that you've done
Right.
before, or average actions or average thoughts. Everything's got to change because you got to hold to that higher standard, or you're going to be, a light's going to be shined on you. Right. Can
Yeah.
you speak to that?
Yeah. I think one of the biggest things, and this is something association is one of the most powerful things that'll influence the quality of your life. And so one thing that I've been extremely intentional about is sometimes you're around people and they're your friends and you feel great about them, you feel super comfortable. And then if you get around people that are maybe pushing themselves more, they're growing more, they're doing more, they're impacting more people, at first it's going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to feel like, I don't know if I should be around these people. I don't know if I'm like on this same level. I don't know if I'm like can play in this court. But it's like, by getting around those people and feeling uncomfortable, you then have to force yourself to grow so that you do feel comfortable in that crowd, and then that allows you to grow. So, I would say if you're trying to push your association, it's like, think of who are some people you can get around that make you feel a little bit uncomfortable, and sometimes you can do it for free, and then truthfully sometimes you may even need to pay to be around them, right? They say, like, you got to pay to play. And so
Yeah.
if you got to do something in some sense to be around these people, it's huge, your
Yeah.
association.
Yeah. I mean, and then you'll hear people, oh, you got to buy your friends, man. Listen, I bought a lot of friends, man. I mean, I paid Grant a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. I not paid him. I think I've invested with him. And I'm not even talking
Totally.
about Cardone Capital. I'm talking about the programs, the masterminds, just being around those people, those people. And
Yeah.
it's changed everything, changed my life. And then when I come back home and I bring it back home, people get uncomfortable with me.
Hmm.
They get uncomfortable being around me. And that's nobody talks about this. So when we develop ourselves, anybody, and then you go back around to the same people that you're generally around,
Yeah.
they get uncomfortable, but nobody ever talks about the person that's actually doing it and the struggles that go through your mind. Like, am I doing the right thing here? Am I
For
really,
real.
like, should I be going this or should I just settle back down? You've experienced that too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
That's good.
yeah, I think I mean, it's intense sometimes, but it's like, if you're coming back to people and they're pulling you down, it's like the classic crabs in the bucket, right? It's like, you could put one crab in the bucket, the crab will crawl out. If you put five in and one tries to crawl out, the others will pull it down until the crab literally dies.
Yeah.
And it's because like, as you go and you start to grow, now people around you feel uncomfortable because you're growing. And in a deeper sense, truly what they're feeling is they see the potential that you're capitalizing on in your life and how they're not, whether it's fear that's holding them back or something. And when they start to see you grow, they want to pull you back to be at their level. So I think if you face something like that, as harsh as it is, you gotta get into the question of, are these people that I want to continue to surround myself with? Or are these people that I don't want to be around? Or are they people that maybe I have a conversation with once a month, once every other week, once a quarter? And you still be friends with them. You don't have to like totally say you're not in my life anymore, but you just create a little bit more distance.
Yep. Yep, man. I've been there, man. And I know a lot
Yeah.
of people that are listening deal with it.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I think one thing to touch back to on what you're saying on like paying to play, paying for your friends in a sense, like whatever, however you want to put the language around that, it's like, as you pay into something like that to level up your association, if you watch the return that will come from it, you will tenfold the money that you invested. And then now technically, if we want to get technical, now you are being paid to get friends.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. And so that's what you focus on a lot is communication, networking. I want to let you talk about that. But before you do that, I
Yeah.
got to ask you this. Tell us the story real quick about Rob Deerdeck and how you took him to lunch.
Yeah. This is a long story. So
Well, if you can shorten it, whatever, whatever you can do
yeah,
with it.
back when I was in the network marketing company, I actually worked with we had this woman on our team. Her name was Brianna, and she was like building the business with us. We were doing stuff. We would like travel, build the business, all those different things. And super long story short, one day Rob sent her a tweet. And now fast forward today, that's Rob's wife, which is
Get
wild.
out.
And
Get out.
yeah, and so, I had known Rob's wife, and so I kind of just had reached out to her and said, hey, like, is there any way I could take Rob to lunch? I would love to just pick his brain for, 15, 20, 30 minutes. I'll buy lunch. It's on me. But I would love to just hear about his story. And, he's a extremely accomplished individual. And yeah, he was awesome to grab lunch with. He is as much of a stud as you would think he is. And as much as that was amazing to take Rob Deerdeck, I think maybe the more tangible piece that some people can take from this is that anytime I've tried to network up, right, or to level up my association, one of the most profound things that has unlocked that for me is literally one strategy, and it's called buying people lunch, right? Because if you
Simple as that.
as simple as that, because like,
Yeah.
and a lot of the time in your life, you'll get an opportunity to maybe be around someone that you want to network with, or be around someone that you want to associate more with, or ask them questions, pick their brain, whatever. And it's like a lot of the time you may not be on the platform where you can have those deep conversations because you may be in a group setting or something like that. But if you can go and approach that person, right? And my sayings always be the person that shows up first and leaves last. Because if you're the last person there talking to them, they don't have anybody else to leave to go talk to. So they'll probably talk to you for longer. You could build a stronger relationship. And then at the end, just be like, hey, is there any way I could take you to lunch for 20, 30 minutes? Like, I'll drive as close to you as I need to. I'll buy you lunch. Like, you're going to eat anyway. Now it's free and you get to do it with a friend. And if we go back into the fulfillment aspect, people want to contribute. So a lot of the times, if you come from a genuine place, people will take you up on that. And you may have to follow up with 5, 10, 20 emails. But if you're persistent, you can open those doors.
And so what areas, so with networking and communicating and all that, and you feel like you're an expert in that area, like internally? I mean, I know we
Yeah.
have that, like I'm a podcaster and I do people building and all this, but
Yeah.
do you feel like, what are you struggling with? A lot of people come on podcasts and share their expertise and all that. I guess the question is like, what would you say? Because I'm a transparent guy and I believe in vulnerability and I
Yeah.
share with my audience all the time, but what are something, one or two things right now that you're struggling with that you're really trying to work on and zero in on?
That's a great question. What am I One, I'm struggling with balance. So like trying to do a lot of different things at once and figuring out what is the best way to be effective with that. I think I'm always trying different things. I think a strategy for me that started to work there is designating a specific day to specific thing. So like one day I'll do Finding Direction podcast. One day I'll do Finding Direction University. One day I'll focus in on some deeper work I need to do with Tony Robbins. One day I'll focus again, maybe on something else that I'm doing. Right. But it's like putting those into different buckets. So I would say that's one thing.
I love
And
that.
then I
That's a
would
good one,
say,
man. Because I've been dealing with that this week. And I'll just throw one thing in there before you go to the next one is
yeah, you're all good.
one thing that Grant tells us is to add more. It's crazy. You add more. And then because right, sometimes when you're dealing with this challenge, right, you're not ready to make a commitment to changing it, but you're
Yeah.
just dealing with it and you're feeling the effects of it. So as soon as you start to feel the effects of it, add more. And what happens is you get to a point where you're like, now I need to figure something out. And then you have to commit, you have no choice. So because sometimes people dangle in that like purgatory area. And then
Yeah, for sure.
then basically it chips away at them instead of, dropping the hammer all at once. So,
Right.
but I like that though.
So
I
if
like
you
the
have a
bucket thing.
lot, then you're sort of like, all right, well, I need to execute on this because I don't
No
have time to
choice.
think about it. Yeah.
Yeah. He's big on that. He's big on
I
that.
love
So
that.
what was it? And I like the
That's
bucket thing. I'm gonna consider my podcast. Like I have it all scattered. I'm trying to be convenient to people that are coming on my show because I'm thankful that I have people that come on the show.
yeah.
As successful as Scott, and I still am thankful, man. And I just try to be as flexible as possible. So I put the all days out there. Like, so I might start trying to do that because that might help, man.
Yeah. And it's like then you got all your work buckets and then you have like relationships, friends, like you know what I mean? It's like there's so many different aspects of life to balance. So it's like, even some of my days would be like, all right, this day of the week's date night, like
Yeah.
just shutting it all off, totally focusing on that. So that's one thing. I would say the second thing that I am working on, struggling / working on is continuously just building my network. Like when I'm saying getting around people that make you feel uncomfortable, I am very much in that space right now of like putting myself around people that I'm sort of like, do I belong here? Is this like, so I would say that's one thing that I'm getting more comfortable with, but very much in. That's why I would say like the sense of being around other people and feeling uncomfortable, like I've never looked at it that way, but now that I'm pushing myself to do that, I'm like, damn, that really is what happens. Like it feels uncomfortable, but it forces you to grow and push yourself more, and level up. And then you do fit in.
That's awesome, dude. I love that because I was thinking the other day, I got a message from someone. I'm not going to say any names. And I'm like, this dude's like 12 hours, like different time zone. I'm like, do I really want to, like, I don't even know who this guy is. He's just reaching out. He heard me on Bradley's podcast. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do it anyway. And that's what I always get in my mind. Do it anyway. But I met a guy through Instagram, same thing, just out of the blue. And I just happened to talk to him. And we did an Instagram live together. And here now we're partnering up and going into a tech company together. And that wouldn't happen. And we created a bromance and like we just clicked, right? And I wouldn't have had that happen if I didn't take that one message. So my thing is, I'll do 15 minutes with pretty much anyone because I never know, so
I love that.
And then you get like kind of like paranoid, like what am I missing if I don't? So
yeah,
I don't know, but I appreciate you being vulnerable, Stu. And how can my audience engage with you further? What do you have? Anything to like they can buy from you, whatever you want to plug, man?
Yeah, I'm just here to give value. The biggest thing that we're really focusing on right now is, again, helping people with like their communication skills, their networking skills, and really just pouring into people in that sense. And so we have a free ebook. It's called 5 Steps to Meeting Anyone You Desire for Introverts. And so if people want that, you just go to Finding Direction University /giveaway, findingdirectionuniversity.com/giveaway. And then you could just get the ebook for free there. So happy to support people in that way. If anybody has questions or anything, just reach out, and I'm again happy to support in any way that I can.
Awesome, man. Stu, and listen, if you ever need anybody on your show, or if you need any speakers or anything I can help you with, man, just holler, because I want to get back to you, man, for coming on the show today. I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to you being on our show in just a week or two.
Oh, that's right. I'm already booked. Shit, I can't even keep track, man. I got it on my calendar though. Thanks,
Yeah,
man. I look forward to it.
it.
I can't wait to share my story, man. And so thanks again. And if there's anything you need, just let me know. Guys, you've been listening to the What Are You Made Of podcast with your boy, Mike C-Roc. Thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe. Go get the Rocket Fuel book at mikecroc.com/book, mikecroc.com/book. Until next time, be good.